Live from Governor's Comedy Club in Levittown, this is Sports Bash presented by TicketBash.com. TicketBash.com, where memories are made affordable and where you'll never pay a service fee. Sports Bash is also presented by the Ryan Anthony Head Start Fund, a group of like-minded individuals trying to raise awareness to our future generations of all possibilities of success other than just college. For more information, visit www.lookwhomadeit.org. Sports Bash is brought to you by the Embassy Diner, located at 4280 Hempstead Turnpike in Bethpage. Every customer is considered family at the Embassy Diner. Mention Sports Bash and get a free dessert with your meal. By Coach's Collectibles, your number one source for 100% authentic sports memorabilia and live public autograph events. Check them out online at coachescollectiblesny.com. And by the Marty Lyons Foundation, the official charity of Sports Bash Media. For more information, go to martylyonsfoundation.org. I think this is going to be a three-game series. I think the Yankees will win in three. And we'll see where the Yankees go from there. They finished up the regular season very strong. I'm very happy about that. I did not think that was going to happen 2 weeks ago. I thought the Yankees were dead in the water. Not that they would make the playoffs, but I just felt like there would be no chance of them at least getting back to the World Series. And now, listen, 2 out of 3, you never know what could happen. But I think the Yankees will beat the Red Sox in the first round. Once in a while, I kind of know what I'm talking about. Once in a blue moon, something comes out of my mouth that is erudite, that is intelligent, because most of the time, like, a lot of nonsense comes out of my mouth. But on Tuesday here on the program, I was dead on balls accurate, and I love it. Welcome to Sports Bash, everybody. I'm Peter Schwartz on this special Friday edition of the program. We were not on yesterday because of the Jewish holiday Yom Kippur. So for those who celebrated the holiday, hope you had an easy fast and enjoyed your time with family and friends. I know we did in the Schwartz household, and nothing like breaking the fast, like breaking the hearts of Boston. Isn't that great? Tony chuckled out of it. And he's not a Yankee fan. He's not a Red Sox fan. He's not even Jewish. Yeah, that was fun yesterday. So we're all, at least for the first segment, all decked out in the Yankee stuff again today. There's a reason why when they talk about the great rivalries in sports history, there's a reason why usually the discussion starts and ends with Yankees-Red Sox. When you think about the long history. Now, again, I'm not demeaning the other rivalries in sports, because if you look at some of the other rivalries, you look at the Packers and the Bears, in football. You look at the Lakers and the Celtics in basketball. I mean, there's so many great rivalries. But and maybe my brain is just skewed because I live here in New York, and I've been a Yankees fan all my life. But the Yankees-Red Sox rivalry is so heated, and even though it's not the heat, when I say heated rivalry, obviously they're going at it, they're trying to win the division, they're trying to advance in the playoffs, but I don't think there's the hatred between the Yankees and the Red Sox and the fan bases like it was years ago when I was growing up as a kid, because I think for whatever reason over time, and I think the Derek Jeters and the David Ortizes of the world and those Yankee-Red Sox battles 2003, 2004, I think there became this quote-unquote respect between the two franchises that I don't think was ever there. Because I remember my father taking me to a Yankees-Red Sox game in 1977 during the pennant race. And we were sitting in the upper deck at the old stadium, the renovated old stadium, and there were some Red Sox fans in our section, and 4 people start to walk by, because you remember in the old Yankee Stadium, I think, and it's still pretty much the same. Well, it's a little different in the new stadium, but in the old stadium, in the upper deck, you used to be able to walk in between the upper box seats and the upper reserve seats. There was a walkway that went all the way around. It was the same thing at Shea too. You could walk around. You walked up the hallway, and the upper box seats were in front, and the upper reserve seats were in the back, and you could walk all the way around. So we're sitting there at the game that night, And these four Yankee fans start walking around, and remember, this is 1977, so you had to find an old sheet and paint and whatever, and this big giant banner they're walking around that says Boston sucks on it. And of course, 50,000 people or whoever could see the sign, could see the banner, are all like, yeah, Boston sucks. That's right. Well, what these four people carrying the banner didn't realize was that there was a somewhat inebriated Red Sox fan sitting in that section. Promptly took his beer and threw the beer at the banner, setting off quite the melee. Now, this is September of 1977. I am 10 years old, a little over 10, and I'm there with my father. And I think my father was a little nervous because all of a sudden the fisticuffs started. And here's my dad with his 10-year-old son at Yankee Stadium. It's a Yankee-Red Sox rivalry. And let me tell you something. These people were beating the living daylights out of each other over a Boston sucks banner. I don't think you would see that now. I think there is a different respect. However, it doesn't defray from the enjoyment I had watching that game last night. Especially after the first game went. We previewed the series on Tuesday before anything ever started. We had no idea how this was going to unfold. And I'm still angry, going back to game one, that Aaron Boone took Max Fried out after, 6 1/3. I felt at that point, what did he only had thrown, 100, was it 104 pitches or something like that through that? And clearly Fried was not as on top of his game as he had been down the stretch. However, you go to the bullpen that early and you run the risk of turning your game over to an arson squad. And I know the Yankees should have had more than one run at the time, but to me, I'd rather have an overworked Max Fried trying to finish out the seventh inning. You want to get through the seventh and you want to start the eighth with Devin Williams and then go to Bednar in the ninth, fine, I have no problem with that. But I just thought it was so analytically incorrect, if that's a phrase, to take Max Fried out at that time. And then the Yankees wind up losing the game 3-1. They did get the bases loaded against Chapman in the ninth inning, and it didn't work out. But then Wednesday night, Yankees get the big hit from Austin Wells, and they go on to win that game 4-3. And then last night, when you talk about a gutsy, I'm trying to come up with the right word, clutch performance from a kid who wasn't even in the Yankees' thoughts at the beginning of the season. That's the great thing about with Cam Schlittler, and I have to be careful with the way I say that, because there have been a couple of slip-ups on the Yankee broadcasts, and there have been some slip-ups. I heard one or two on Boomer and Gio this morning on the Fan that they had to bleep out. But we were driving home from my mother-in-law's house last night, and we were listening to the broadcast. And look, you say that name, try and say that name 10 times fast, you're going to goof up. And I know when I've announced his name on updates and stuff like that at the Fan or whatever, you've got to be very, very careful. It is Cam Schlittler. Got to remember to get that first L in there. But what he did last night was so incredible. Think about it. He starts the season at Double-A Somerset and is there for like a cup of coffee. And then, the Yankees had no other options. They bring him up and he never went back. You could tell right from the first moment. Just like when the Mets called up Nolan McLean, you could tell right from the bat. And listen, we talked about it on the show the other day. When Tony and I, by the way, Tony Walker, my producer and the host of the Knock 'em Dead comedy show weekdays from 11 to 12:30, you know how I always like to get that in at the appropriate time. We were talking the other day, like, who do you blame from the Mets? And Tony likes to blame Carlos Mendoza. I blame David Stearns for not calling up Nolan McLean and Jonah Tong, earlier, because that one extra quality start could have been the difference in the Mets going to the playoffs. And think about where the Yankees would be right now if they didn't bring Cam Schlittler up. He went from Double-A to Triple-A to the major leagues and then puts on that performance last night in front of 50,000 people and a national television audience against a Red Sox team that would have loved nothing better than to stick it to the Yankees. And what did he do? He stuck it right back at the Red Sox last night with 12 strikeouts. All kinds of records set last night in Yankee history and Major League history. No walks, 12 strikeouts, 5 hits. He was in command from start to finish, and even when the Red Sox had 2 runners on base, there was one inning where the Red Sox had 2 runners on base, you just never felt like he was in any kind of trouble. And after the 7th inning, I thought he was going to come out. I would have kept him in, and they did. Aaron Boone did the right thing, kept him in. Now, you get to the 9th inning, I mean, at this point, he's going to get his full rest before he starts a game in the ALDS against Toronto. Would it have really hurt to try and bring him out for the start, at least take it batter by batter in the 9th inning? It didn't really matter. At that point, the Yankees got 8 innings. They didn't have to go to their arson squad, some of those guys in the bullpen. They go right to Bednar, who shuts the door in the 9th inning, and the Yankees win 4-0, and they advance to the division series against the Blue Jays starting on Saturday afternoon in Toronto. And look, it's a gutsy performance by the Yankees, who have been in this kind of mode for the last few weeks of the season. And you listen, I'm the most loyal but honest Yankee fan. I never saw this coming. The way the Yankees were playing in the last month of the season, kicking and throwing the ball around the field, errors, just failure to get runners in with less than 2 outs from third base, guys struggling, the bullpen was absolutely dreadful at times. Like, who could have seen this coming until, again, granted, the Yankees ran off all those wins at the end of the year against tomato cans, against really bad teams, and you wondered how they would, could they turn the fire back on against a really good Red Sox team, and there were doubts about it after Game 1. But the Yankees bounced back, got Game 2, and last night, again, Cam Schlittler, and you knew this was going to be the back page of the Post. You just knew it. And I'm sitting at home and sitting at my mother-in-law's house. Holy Schlittler, what was the back page of the Post going to be? And sure enough, this is what we had. We have Holy Schlitt on the back of the New York Post. Tony, can you say that 10 times fast?
Schlitt.
Now, I know if I try to say that 10 times fast, I'm going to... Well, I've cursed on the show in recent weeks, so it's okay. But holy Schlitt. And that's all you could keep saying after watching that performance. And this is what the great thing about Cam Schlittler is. He can do it he has 4 different pitches. I mean, he's hitting... I saw a stat last night. This blew my mind. From the time that they started doing the pitch cast, where they were measuring the miles an hour officially by Major League Baseball, and I think that was like 2008 that they started doing it, Cam Schlittler in the first inning last night had 6 pitches recorded over 100 miles an hour. And he was doing that consistently during the whole game. So in the first inning, he threw 6 pitches that went 100 miles an hour. Since they started the pitch cast numbers in 2008, Yankee starting pitchers in the postseason have hit a total of 5 pitches at 100 miles an hour since 2008, before Cam Schlittler last night. Now I'm just showing off because I can say Schlittler without missing the out. I'm just trying to show it off right now. I had a guy on, speaking of pronouncing the guy's name, Tony, do you watch that American Ninja Warrior show at all?
I don't.
You don't? But do you know that? Have you ever seen it? Have you ever seen the 2 guys who host it? One guy I think is now on The View, or he's now on. I had his name when we were in Las Vegas to do Sports Bash, not this past season, the year before, and he was a guest on Sports Bash, and I couldn't tell you what his name is right now, but I had it pronounced phonetically in front of me by the PR person. And I just kept saying his name during like the 20-minute interview. I just kept saying his name over and over and over and over and over again. At this point, I was just showing off, just like now with Cam Schlittler. But that was a performance for the ages last night. And it was amazing. I saw a clip on Barstool. I think he was even a Yankee fan. Some guy was trying to say this wasn't one of the great all-time pitching performances by the Yankees in the postseason. Like, how could you possibly say that? Now, remember the performance that Roger Clemens had in the 2000 ALCS against the Mariners, where he struck out, I think he struck out 16 batters? Alex Rodriguez has been on record saying he's never seen a performance like that. Like, the Mariners knew they had no chance, and I think the Red Sox last night, they all knew to a man. By the fourth or fifth inning, they had no chance of doing anything against Cam Schlittler. I right away started looking, and I know my wife has been. Cheryl is on top of these things, no matter what. So, just a little quick backstory, and this is why I love her so much, and she's like the greatest wife in the world. We were out last week, and I was wearing a really old, beaten-up Knicks T-shirt. I mean, and I'm terrible when it comes to like taking a shirt off because I grab my shirts by the collar.
Right.
And I'm guilty as charged on it. I ruin shirts by pulling my shirts over my head with the collar. And I love this Knicks T-shirt. Not that I had it from the 80s. I think I've had it for about 10, 15 years. This really nice Knicks T-shirt with the old original Knick logo on it. And we went out, and she said, when we come home, that shirt is going in the donation bag. I said, okay, you're right about that, but here's what I need. I need a Knicks shirt to replace it. So I said, if you could find a Jalen Brunson jersey, and when jersey, I mean the T-shirt that looks like a jersey, and it's got the player name on the back, name and number. You think you can find a Jalen Brunson jersey to replace it? She goes, are you challenging me? I said, well, yeah. So I threw the shirt out when we got home. I held up my end of the bargain, and I left the breadcrumbs last night. I'm like, wouldn't it be great if there was a T-shirt that said "Holy Schlit" or "Schlit happens"? And I just know in my heart of hearts that she's been on that today, because she saw how happy and how emotionally involved I was in that game last night. Because it's one thing, and listen, and even. It doesn't matter what team you root for. You could be a Yankee fan, a Met fan, an Islander fan, or a Ranger fan. Jets, Giants, Knicks, Nets, whatever it might be. When you have a player that comes up through your system, there's nothing like a homegrown player that becomes a star. I mean, think about the Mets back in with Straw and Gooden, and then David Wright and whatever it might be. But and me as a Yankee fan, like. Growing up in the 70s, all those, look, there were a lot of players on those teams that were acquired by free agency, but Ron Guidry was a homegrown Yankee. Don Mattingly was a homegrown Yankee. Look at the dynasty Yankees in the late 90s, 2000s, Jeter, Pettit, Rivera, Posada. And now players on the team like Volpe, like Cam Schlittler, who wasn't even a thought at the beginning of the season. When these guys come up and they produce and they become a great player, that means more to a fan than if you went out and got a high-priced free agent or you made a trade. And even though, and I'll bring up the 86 Mets again. Mets don't win in 86 without Carter and without Keith Hernandez, without Ron Darling, who they had to get. Ron Darling was a homegrown Met. What am I saying? Bob Ojeda was acquired. Like those kind of, right. So, but when it's a homegrown player, it means so much more than getting a free agent because he's yours. You nurtured him. It's like you have your parents and your children. And they're born and they come up through your household and you nurture them the way you would like to see them grow up to be people. That's like what Cam Schlittler is, what Derek Jeter and Mariano were in the dynasties. They're yours. Like you gave birth to them, so to speak. And I think that's why Yankee fans, including myself, are so excited today. Just so flipping excited. And now, you enjoyed it last night. I'm enjoying it today. And when this show is over, I get into later this evening, I'm starting to think about the Blue Jays. And I know that's how the Yankees were enjoying it through their celebration last night. Then they get on the airplane. They go to Toronto. They're going to work out today north of the border and get this thing started at 4 o'clock tomorrow. And look, I think if the Yankees came right out of the regular season to play the Blue Jays, I think they might have some trouble. And they had trouble against the Blue Jays in the regular season, but they had trouble against the Red Sox during the season too. And they started to get that turned around late in the season where they won a series, and then they won a series against the Blue Jays later in the season. So right now, look, I could be setting myself up for a tremendous disappointment, and so are other Yankee fans. I think the Yankees are going to win the series. I was right in the first round. There's just something about this Yankee team, the way, and Judge has 4 hits in the series, no home runs, but other guys have been chipping in a little bit here and there. And there's something, Tony said to me off the air about the mojo of the Yankees. And when the Yankees seem to have that mojo, good things happen. And I think the Yankees are going to win this series in 5 games. I don't even think it's going to be that close. That's how confident I am in the Yankees. I think they'll go split the first 2 in Toronto, and they're going to come home and win all 3, 4, and 5, and then we'll see what happens. But that's what I think. Again, what do I know? I hit the Red Sox series. What can I tell you? I just had a good feeling, and I have the same good feeling about it this time around. I don't think I did this on the beginning of the program because I was so giddy about the Yankees. But I never gave the phone number out. 516-465-3990. 516-465-3990. Make sure you're following Sports Bash Media on X, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. And make sure you are subscribing to Gov's Comedy Club podcast on YouTube and Facebook. Sports Bash is also now available on Apple Music and Spotify. Later in the show, we're going to talk hockey. I'm going to take off my Yankee shirt and my Yankee hat because I'm only doing this to show off right now here at the beginning. But later on in the program, we're going to talk some hockey with the NHL season starting next week. Johnny Lazaris from Daily Faceoff and Bleacher Report on Ice will join us in the last segment. So we're going to swap things around a little bit and do our last segment next. And what that means is, what's hot at ticketbash.com? Little hint, the interlocking NY. That's what's hot. The Sports Bash Media poll question of the day, and we'll check out the Coaches Collectibles item of the week. That is all coming up when Sports Bash resumes right after this. Hi, I'm Peter Schwartz.
And I'm Vinny Tickets.
We want to take a moment to talk about our fantastic sponsor, the Embassy Diner.
Embassy Diner has been a beloved staple in the restaurant industry for over 50 years. And the great thing about it is when you walk through the door, you're not a customer, you are family. Every visit promises to be filled with warmth, love, and respect.
And here's an extra treat. If you mention Sports Bash during your visit, you enjoy a free dessert on the Embassy Diner.
Come on down to the Embassy Diner, where great food and great company are always on the menu.
Visit the Embassy Diner, located at 4280 Hempstead Turnpike in Bethpage.
In 1982, the Marty Lyons Foundation began with a single heartfelt mission: to bring moments of joy and hope to critically ill children by granting wishes that make their dreams come true. Since that day, we have touched the lives of over 8,500 families, raising over $43 million to grant wishes that offer a beacon of light in their darkest times. These precious wishes cost an average of $6,700 each, and your support is crucial to our mission. Every donation, big or small, makes a difference. And with 76 cents of every dollar going directly to supporting our families, you can rest assured your support truly changes lives. The Marty Lyons Foundation operates 11 chapters in 14 states now, working tirelessly to reach as many children as we can. This dedication goes hand in hand with our commitment to transparency and accountability, earning us top ratings on Charity Navigator, Great Nonprofits, and Candid, which underscores our dedication to those we serve. The Marty Lyons Foundation grants wishes to children ages 3 to 17. And what really makes this foundation so special is our willingness to grant not only a first wish, but also consider a second wish to a child who continues to battle a life-threatening illness. We stand by these children, offering them hope and strength through the power of dreams, giving our children the courage to wish for more.
What's your purpose in life? Is your purpose in life to live in the big house and drive the nice car? No. Your purpose in this life is to make it a little bit better for those that follow and realize that we live for today to see a better tomorrow.
Visit MartyWyonsFoundation.org to learn more and get involved.
Welcome back to Sports Bash, presented by TicketBash.com and the Ryan Anthony Head Start Fund. This segment of Sports Bash is brought to you by the Embassy Diner in Bethpage. Don't forget to mention Sports Bash and get a free dessert with your meal. Welcome back to the program. I'm Peter Schwartz. Before I get to some business at hand here in the second segment, of course, again, all giddy about the Yankees. I made a complete ass out of myself in the first segment, saying Yankees in 5, thinking it was a 7-game series, and I don't know what came over me, because it has to do with the Sports Bash Media poll question of the day, which when I did it, I realized at that point that I was right. It was a 5-game series, so I don't know why I just said Yankees in 5, because I think it was a 7. It's not a 7-game series. It's a 5-game series in the division series. So I'm going to start this segment off by correcting my terrible mistake in the first segment by saying it's time for the Sports Bash Media poll question of the day. We post a new question every Tuesday and Thursday, in this case Friday, because of the holiday yesterday, on the Sports Bash Media X/Twitter page. What's your prediction for Yankees versus Blue Jays in the American League Division Series? And we have 4 choices here. We have Yankees in 3 or 4, Blue Jays in 3 or 4, Yankees in 5, or Blue Jays in 5. So as I officially correct my prediction from the first segment, I am going to go with the Yankees in 4. The Yankees will win this 3-1. Tony, your thoughts on Yankees, Blue Jays, ALDS. What's going to happen?
Definitely Yankees. Let's see. I'm going to say Yankees in 5.
Yankees in 5. Okay,
Yep.
So they'll go back to Toronto and have to win a 5th game, decisive game in Toronto.
Absolutely.
Okay.
They'll do it.
And think about this. So they'll probably have, if that's the case, so Max Fried is going to pitch Game 2 on Sunday, and the Yankees haven't announced who's going to pitch, unless I missed it before the show started, but they're doing their workout day today in Toronto. We'll find out who's going to start Game 1. Sounds like it was going to be Luis Gil, and in which case Max Fried would get the start in Game 2. And if it went to Game 5, they probably would have to have Max Fried going on short rest if that was the case. But, yeah, I like Yankees in 4. It won't be easy, I know that, but I just think the Yankees have this mojo going, and we'll see how that all works out. But 516-465-3990 is the number to call. Josh is on the line. Josh, welcome to Sports Bash.
Hello, Rabbi Schwartz. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing well. I wouldn't exactly call myself a rabbi.
Well, you seem spiritual and knowing of all things Yankees, so I figure I put you in that category.
Well,
why not, right?
Again, a blind squirrel finds a nut once in a while. A broken watch is right 2 times a day. So
that is true.
Yeah, but yeah, I wouldn't take what I say and go running to Las Vegas about it.
Well, it depends. If you keep predicting Yankees, then I might. So here's the question. Well, first of all, love the show as always. I'm a big fan of you, and
yes.
and
I see you got the check. I see you got the check in the mail.
Well, I'm just a fan of Tony. I mean, let's just put it out there.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
You're just
maybe you should be calling
Tony's
Tony's show at 11 o'clock instead of mine.
Exactly. Well, first off, before you answer the question, I see you changed your shirt, and I just pictured you grabbing the collar and
yes,
stretching
I did.
it out.
I
so
did.
I'm sure you did.
I did.
So here's the question for you, okay? And I think you're the perfect person to answer this, not only because you're well-knowing, but also because you've kind of been flip-flopping a little bit on Aaron Boone. Sometimes you've been in favor. You admitted the other day
I still
on the
don't
show,
like him. I still don't like him. No, I don't.
Okay, but let me ask you this question, okay? What will it take, what round will it take for the Yankees to get to for his job to be safe? And I'll preface this by saying, a lot of people are calling for, if it doesn't work, get rid of him. But he did take him to the World Series. He did get him in gear to get the playoffs. He did just win the first. So if he doesn't make what round, do you think his job?
No, he's already coming back. They're not firing him now. I don't think. I don't think they were going to fire him if they lost to the Red Sox. I don't think so, because The biggest thing that Aaron Boone brings to the table is that he's the great mouthpiece for the organization. And he listens to whatever they have to say. I fully believe any of the decisions that are made are being handled by Brian Cashman and the analytics team. So if your manager is following direction, why would you get rid of him? Because he's protecting the people who are actually making the decisions. He's protecting them. He's out in front every day. He's getting his ass thrown out of games when he doesn't like calls. So, like, and I have nothing personal against Aaron Boone. I don't. I think he's a good guy, and I actually think he's a good I would love to see him without analytics. I would love to really know if he has that gut instinct to be a really good manager. And what happened the other night in Game 1 with Joe Torre sitting in the stadium, who was the ultimate in terms of going with your gut, like, I would have loved to have known what was going through Joe Torre's mind on Tuesday.
Okay, so let me ask you the follow-up to this.
Yeah.
You posted the other day on one of your socials about, if you're looking for another manager and you put Joe Girardi, which I think would be good. But let me ask you this. Is that if Boone was gone tomorrow, I know you're buying the Jets, so we don't know if you can afford the Yankees as well and get rid of that. But if you could, my personal pick, talking about homegrown, is Don Mattingly. I think
I could go either way. Josh, that's a great, and somebody else brought it up to me on social. I would take him too, because I think he did a really good job with the Marlins, and he did a good job with the Dodgers. And I don't even know if Girardi would be interested in the job. I think he would like to get back into managing. I don't know if he want to do round 2 with the Yankees, but if they went to him and he said no, or they couldn't work it out, if they brought Mattingly in, I'd have no problem with that as well.
Awesome. Well, keep up the great work, guys. Really, I appreciate it. I look forward to the shows, and looking forward to the next segment with the Islanders equipment manager and his story. So appreciate it. Go Yankees.
But before I let you go, is the National Lacrosse League going to have a season?
That's the magic question. There's all this stuff on Twitter today about negotiation stuff. I'd like to think so, and here's the reason why I think so.
I asked Josh this because he's a big lacrosse guy.
Here's why I think. I think if the NLL, National Lacrosse League, does not have a season because there's either a lockout or a strike or have you, I don't think it recovers. I really don't.
I don't either.
I don't think that they can.
Josh, I think what we're heading towards here, and I think you would agree with me, if there's no season and the league as we know it ceases to exist, it's just going to be a box lacrosse league in Canada. That's which is what I think they want now anyway, because 90% of the players are from Canada anyway, and the teams that are successful are in Canada. The American teams are moving to Canada. So to me, that's what they want, and I think eventually they're going to want to bust the league up and just have the Toronto Rocks of the world and whatever start their own league in Canada. I think that's what's going to wind up happening.
Last thing before I let you go, my wife, Cheryl Lynn, obviously, smart Jewish men marry people with the name Cheryl, and
yes.
I get a Lynn in there.
Some variation.
She told me to tell you thank you because she is presently in the middle of Summer Skate by Sean Avery, and she absolutely loves it, and she wouldn't have known about it had we not been driving in the car the day.
Wow! So I sold a book for him.
You get royalties, absolutely.
I'm going to call Sean up. I'm going to call Sean up later today and find out if I get a royalty for that.
And she is not a sporty spice, so for her to read this book, it means that you really did a good job selling it.
And you want to know something also. My mother watches the show religiously. She heard the subject matter of that book, and she said, when you're done reading it, I would like to read it. She'll be up from Florida soon, so I'll just hand her over the book.
There you go.
See, hockey and love, two things. I guess that sells books, right?
Exactly. Well, go Eagles if they're playing this weekend. I think Bradley has a game.
Yes. We're gonna get to Dad's time to brag in just a second, but yes, okay. A little spoiler alert. Yes, they are coming up on Saturday at 1:00. Yes.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, listen, have a great weekend. Good to chat with you, and we'll talk again soon.
You got it. Take care, my friend. Okay. That's Josh
Bye-bye.
Joining us. It's time for What's Hot at TicketBash.com. The Yankees are through to the American League Division Series. Games 3 and 4 are at Yankee Stadium Tuesday and Wednesday, and you can get your tickets to see the ALDS in the Bronx. The lowest prices with no service fees. And if you think that the place was nuts last night, wait till you see what's going to be on Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. No service fees at ticketbash.com. So if you want to go see the Yankees and the Blue Jays games 3 and 4, if necessary, I think it will be because the Yankees will win in 4, go to ticketbash.com and get your tickets. We did the Sports Bash Media poll question. It's now time for the Coaches Collectibles Items of the Week. And as we did on Tuesday, a Ben Rice signed 8x10 framed photo and the Yankees Core 4 5-piece World Series ring box set. And I expect Dom from Coaches Collectibles to send that box set to the Schwartz house, not for anybody else but myself, because nobody else in my house would be interested in that. But that is a beautiful set. Coaches Collectibles, your number one source for 100% authentic sports memorabilia and live public autograph events. Speaking of Coaches Collectibles, coming up October 14th at Mulcahy's. It's a public signing with the Islanders' famous identity line of Matt Martin, Casey Cizikas, and Cal Clutterbuck. And that will take place from 6:30 to 8 p.m. For more information, go to coachescollectiblesny.com. Speaking of Casey Cizikas, a little spoiler on him as well, not really necessarily related to Sports Bash, although if you see my socials today, you'll see a picture of Casey with my Sports Bash microphone in front of him in the locker today. But I did a nice long one-on-one interview with Casey Cizikas today for a story that I am writing for GreaterLongIsland.com that we expect to get posted on Monday. Just a nice insight from Casey on his long career with the Islanders. He went from being a rookie to now being one of the elder statesmen on the team, and now tutoring some of the younger players. And here's the other thing too, and this really is why the story is going to go to Greater Long Island. He's fallen in love with his family of Long Island. I mean, he came here, he's a Toronto guy, and 5 years ago, the Cizikas family made their full-time home here on Long Island. So we talk about that. I'm looking forward to getting that story posted. I think Islander fans, I think even if you're not an Islander fan, if you just you take pride in living here on Long Island, I think you would enjoy the story that we're going to have for you on Monday. Where do we stand right now? Oh, yeah. Like Josh asked for, Dad's time to brag. And Tony can relax here because I didn't send him any video or photos, because sometimes I do something and he's like, oh my God, you didn't send me a picture. No, I told you beforehand, there's no picture. You can relax, have another bite of your sandwich unless you finished it already.
Finished.
You finished it. He's good.
But I set you up with a graphic. That's what I do.
You did. There it is. Brag.
And it says
right.
Dad right next to it.
Oh, wow.
How do you like that?
Oh, now it's up on the big screen.
Oh,
now I can see it.
Yep.
Brag Dad. There you go. I've got no visual aid for this, so you just have to take my word for it, okay? My son Jared and the Levittown District High School badminton team scored a 6-1 win over Hempstead on Wednesday. Levittown's back in action on Monday against Great Neck North. Jared is also an assistant coach on the Clemson flag football team. They're now 2-0 after this past Sunday's win over Tennessee. Clemson back in action this Sunday morning, and I have to be honest with you, I don't know if Jared even told me who they're playing, but whoever they're playing, watch out, because Clemson is looking to improve on their 2-0 record. Speaking of unbeaten football teams, after a bye week last week, my son Bradley and the 3-0 Post-University Eagles return to action tomorrow at home against St. Anselm. We'll be heading up there to Waterbury, Connecticut tomorrow for that 1 o'clock kickoff at Municipal Stadium. By the way, and I don't think I've ever mentioned this on the show before, I'm going to start taking some pictures when we go to more games, but for those who don't know, Municipal Stadium in Waterbury is actually a very historic stadium. They had, for many, many years, they had minor league baseball in Waterbury, Connecticut. In fact, I did a little research. I went to... My family makes fun of me when I say something incorrectly. Wikipedia? Is it Wikipedia? Wikipedia. For some reason, I say Wikipedia. I think that sounds a little corny or better, whatever. It's Wikipedia. So I went to Wikipedia.
Wow.
I went to Wikipedia. Just let me say it the way I want to say it. I went to Wikipedia. I looked up Municipal Stadium, and so what they did was, they don't have a baseball team there now, but the Post-University baseball team plays there. So what they did was they kind of like reshaped the stadium. They took one side of the bleachers away. They converted a big part of the stadium land into the football stadium that Post-University plays on right now. But there's one side of the original stadium, this beautiful brick side. It says Municipal Stadium on there. And I did some research, and the Yankees, or I don't know if it was a Yankee exhibition game or if it was just a mixed exhibition game in the 50s or the 40s, but like Yogi Berra played on that field. And Joe DiMaggio played there, and I think I saw Whitey Ford's name on that list. I'm going to try to do a little clip on the place for Sports Bash. We'll see if we can get that done on this trip or the one after. But it's really a cool look, at least from the outside, and it's a great place. And they're undefeated 3-0, so hopefully they can make it 4-0 tomorrow at 1 o'clock. And also, Bradley is not only an on-field athlete, but he's also an esports athlete now. He's part of the post-university esports team, and he made his debut this week in college football and on Madden. And Madden, he won the game last night. So congratulations to Bradley on winning his Madden debut last night for post-university. The 4th annual Marty Lyons Foundation Evening of Thanks Gala is coming up on Thursday, November 13th at the Bourne Mansion in Oakdale. The foundation will be honoring wishes granted in 2025 and members of the Marty Lyons Foundation family. There will be raffle prizes and a special live wish reveal, which there was last year too, and it was unbelievable. For more information, go to martylyonsfoundation.org. It's 1:40. We're going to take a break, and I'll talk about next week's show at the end. When we come back here on the program, at around 1:45, we're going to be joined by Johnny Lazarus, who you'll know from Bleacher Report and so many other hockey things. And he's going to give this show some street cred. And I'm going to explain that to you when I bring Johnny on in just a few minutes when we come back right after this. Hi, I'm Peter Schwartz.
And I'm Vinny Tickets.
We want to take a moment to talk about our fantastic sponsor, the Embassy Diner.
Embassy Diner has been a beloved staple in the restaurant industry for over 50 years. And the great thing about it is when you walk through the door, you're not a customer, you are family. Every visit promises to be filled with warmth, love, and respect.
And here's an extra treat. If you mention Sports Bash during your visit, you enjoy a free dessert on the Embassy Diner.
Come on down to the Embassy Diner, where great food and great company are always on the menu.
Visit the Embassy Diner, located at 4280 Hempstead Turnpike in Bethpage. Hi, I'm Peter Schwartz.
And I'm Vinny Tickets.
In 1982, the Marty Lyons Foundation began with a single heartfelt mission: to bring moments of joy and hope to critically ill children by granting wishes that make their dreams come true. Since that day, we have touched the lives of over 8,500 families, raising over $43 million to grant wishes that offer a beacon of light in their darkest times. These precious wishes cost an average of $6,700 each, and your support is crucial to our mission. Every donation, big or small, makes a difference. And with 76 cents of every dollar going directly to supporting our families, you can rest assured your support truly changes lives. The Marty Lyons Foundation operates 11 chapters in 14 states now, working tirelessly to reach as many children as we can. This dedication goes hand in hand with our commitment to transparency and accountability, earning us top ratings on Charity Navigator, Great Nonprofits, and Candid, which underscores our dedication to those we serve. The Marty Lyons Foundation grants wishes to children ages 3 to 17. And what really makes this foundation so special is our willingness to grant not only a first wish, but also consider a second wish to a child who continues to battle a life-threatening illness. We stand by these children, offering them hope and strength through the power of dreams, giving our children the courage to wish for more.
What's your purpose in life? Is your purpose in life to live in the big house and drive the nice car? No. Your purpose in this life is to make it a little bit better for those that follow and realize that we live for today to see a better tomorrow.
Visit MartyLyonsFoundation.org to learn more and get involved.
Welcome back to Sports Bash, presented by TicketBash.com and the Ryan Anthony Head Start Fund. I'm Peter Schwartz. 516-465-3990 is the number to call. Johnny Lazarus is going to call in, Zoom in with us in just a couple minutes to talk hockey with the hockey season starting next week. Here on the program, you've heard me in recent weeks delve into professional wrestling a little bit. We had some in-studio guests and some fisticuffs. No, not fisticuffs, but we had some fun last week with a couple of professional wrestlers, and you've heard me kind of tease and talk a little bit about this new venture that I'm involved in, and I'm going to be the communications coordinator for a new venture called Gotham Wrestling. And the first TV event, it's going to be a TV taping in West Nyack, is going to be on Thursday, October 16th. So you'll want to go to GothamWrestling.com and get some more information. We'll talk more about that as we move along in the next couple of weeks here on the program. But as the Yankees continue their run in the baseball postseason, the new hockey season is upon us. Preseason over for a lot of teams. We'll finish up in the next day or so. But next week, the 2025-26 National Hockey League season gets underway. And when I think about it, like, who better to talk about the local teams, the Islanders, Rangers, Devils, but also the entire National Hockey League and other things going on in the great sport of hockey than my buddy Johnny Lazaris from Daily Faceoff and Bleacher Report Open Ice. He joins us here on Sports Bash. Johnny, it's Peter. How are you, sir?
I'm good, Peter. Thanks for having me, and I appreciate that kind introduction.
Well, I do my best to make everybody feel at home, and if you like that introduction, you're going to love the way that I start out this interview, because before I forget, I have to start with this, because I'm all about growing this show, and I know you like to grow and expand the projects you're working on, and as we continue to grow Sports Bash, the most important thing that I like to do with this program is improve our street cred and improve our younger demographics, and I think you have helped me do that here today.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why. So we saw each other at the Islander Ranger game Monday at UBS Arena, and that's when we were able to hook this up, and you were going to come on the show. And I think it was the next day, when because I was doing a show here the next day, and I posted it on my socials. And my older son, Bradley, who's away at college, he sends me a text message and says to me, "Dad, how did you get Johnny Lazaris on your show?" And I said, what do you mean? He's been on the show before. He was on the old show when we did it at LI News Radio. He goes, That's amazing that you got him on your show. Do you realize how big that is?
No way.
And I swear. And he's almost 20. So my younger son, Jared, who obviously is a lot more hip with social media than I am as well, so he must not have seen it. So then last night after Yom Kippur was over and I resumed my tweeting and promotion of the show, I shared it again that you were going to be on the show today. And I'm in my mother-in-law's house, and Jared is sitting near me, and he says, "Dad, I just saw your post. How did you get Johnny Lazaris on your show?" So both of my kids were flabbergasted that, first of all, obviously they didn't pay attention to the old show because you were on the old show, but they were flabbergasted that you were going to come on the show. So I think you need to know that. And I think I'm sure that brings a smile to your face.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate you saying that. It's so weird to me also, because you should know this too. That,
by the way, they both compared you to John Boy.
Really? Okay. Yeah. So I've done some stuff with the John Boy people. They are the best. Like I love the John Boy Media Company. I'm not really a big baseball fan actually, but I did go into the office the other day to watch the Padres and, the Cubs and the Tigers, or the Tigers were playing the Reds or whatever. I don't know.
The only game that mattered was the game that was last night.
Exactly.
That's the only game that mattered.
I love MLB playoffs, but please give your sons and I'll say a young kid phrase here. Please dap them up for me. I always love,
I don't know what that means, but I'll tell them that. They're probably watching. Well, I know Bradley is probably watching. I know Jared's still in school, so he probably won't see this until later. But I needed to share that with you. I thought you'd get a kick out of that.
Yeah, no, that means the world, Peter. Please tell them when you get home or when you talk to your sons that Johnny wanted to dap you up.
Sounds good. Maybe you'll get a chance to meet them at a game this season. Anyway, Happy New Year. It's the new hockey season starting on Tuesday of next week. Before we get specifically about the locals and some other stuff, just your overall thoughts on the season starting, how excited you are, and what you think we can look for this year.
Yeah, I mean, listen, going back to the 2023-2024 season, I wasn't sure an NHL season could top the drama in that one. And then we have last year and the Four Nations and the back-to-back Stanley Cup champion beating the Oilers again in the Stanley Cup final, the best player in the game losing in the Stanley Cup final 2 years in a row.
Yep.
And then this year, it's like, oh my God, how could they top last year? But we have an Olympic year. We have a Connor McDavid contract year. We have a Jack Eichel contract year. There's so many different storylines that are going into the 2025-2026 season that we're just due for another incredible 9 months. And I think hockey is in the best place right now as far as popularity goes that it's ever been. And for me, that's what makes my job and my day-to-day so exciting. And that's why I can't wait to get out of bed every day and I never sleep.
And I'm excited about the hockey season. When I did not stay home to watch the Jet game Monday night. I chose to go to the Islander Ranger preseason game, and that's how excited I am that the hockey.
Is that
season.
You being excited about hockey though, or are you just hating the Jets?
Oh, I'm just down. I the Jet, Johnny. I think you know this. The Jets they've killed me inside. They've killed a little piece of me inside, and
we did a whole debrief about it.
Yeah, well, no, I've exploded on them on this show. I'm sure you've seen the clip of me going nuts on them a couple of weeks ago. But no, I just decided that I was not going to let them affect my life negatively anymore. So on a nice Monday night, my younger son wanted to go with his friend who's a Ranger fan. My son obviously is an Islander fan. They wanted to go to the game. I was able to get them tickets, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to cover the game. I don't have to sit at home and watch and get annoyed watching the Jets. It's hockey. It's beautiful. It's the best, and that's why I think we're all excited for the season. And as far as local, we'll start with the Rangers and the Islanders. The Rangers are going to get started at the Garden on Tuesday against the Penguins. And the Rangers are in a little bit of a new era with a new head coach and some new faces on the team. What are your overall thoughts as we get ready to start here with the Rangers this season?
You know what? A month ago, Peter, I wasn't very excited, but as you know, when you get back to the rink for the first time, training camp, preseason, it feels like the first day of school, right? So once I actually got to talk to some of the guys and be in the arena again, it just gets your blood pumping. So I'm fired up for a Ranger year. I think last year is a total wash. We'll burn the tape. We'll forget about it. While I think the players in the room shouldn't just completely forget about it. They should kind of have in the back of their mind how embarrassing it was for the organization last year and kind of build off that and get fuel from that. But again, I think it was just something that I've never really seen that sort of collapse with, going from a President's Trophy winner to a team that looked like they didn't even care about playing hockey. I've been told that the Mets' last 3 months collapse was similar, but again, not a baseball guy.
Yeah, you're not far off on that.
That's what people are telling me.
By the way, as much as my kids made you happy, you just annoyed my producer Tony by bringing the Mets up.
Tony. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean it, Tony. I didn't mean it.
Resume. It's okay, Johnny. We're talking hockey. Go ahead.
We'll leave the Mets out of the conversation.
Yeah. But we'll get to another orange and blue team in just a second. Go right ahead.
Of course. It's hard not even with the Islanders, and I can just kind of go into there. Even though the Islanders aren't looked at, and the Rangers probably aren't looked at right now as a Stanley Cup contender, you could still find things to be excited about. And I think that's the beauty of the sport.
Yeah, so we'll segue right to it. But before I go to the Islanders, one more thing on the Rangers. Obviously, they had some injury concerns during preseason. I know Panarin was banged up a little bit. How are the Rangers health-wise with the season about to start?
I think JT Miller will be fine for opening night.
Yeah.
Panarin, I haven't been at the training facility in the past couple of days, so I don't necessarily know what's going on with Panarin. I've just seen Vince Mercogliano and other beat reporters tweeting about it. Like Vince did just say it's a bit unclear. He was dealing with a lower body injury in the early parts of camp, but now it's an upper body injury. And it's hopeful that he'll be ready for opening night, but I'm not sure it's positive. Again, that's not my direct reporting. That's from Vince Mercogliano, who I just alluded to. I would think that Artemi Panarin is going to be fine to play. Guys typically don't want to miss games, even if they're at 70%, 80%. Hockey players always want to play. So I would think he'll be okay. Is he going to be 100% healthy? Maybe not. But the Rangers' health to me right now is not a huge concern. I mean, it's not what's going on in Florida.
Right.
Those guys are,
we'll get to that if we have time at the end. I've got that on my list too. We're talking to Johnny Lazaris from Daily Faceoff and Bleacher Report Open Ice. He joins us here on Sports Bash as the NHL season gets underway next week. And as far as the Islanders are concerned, they will start next Thursday, also against the Penguins like the Rangers will, but this will be in Pittsburgh. And you got to first a first-hand look at the Islanders on Monday against the Rangers at UBS Arena, and I think it was your first in-person view of the Islanders' first overall pick, Matthew Schaefer. We had a little bit of a conversation about it in between periods. To me, he's been very impressive. I've seen him a lot in practice. I had a chance to talk to him a little bit today after practice. What were your thoughts on him, and do you think, I mean, most people think he's going to stick for opening night. What were your thoughts on him, and what do you think the Islanders will do with him?
Well, my initial thought, I don't know if you remember this, but about like 5 minutes into the first period, Matt Rempe was the F1 on a forecheck. Yeah. And I think it was Scott Mayfield and Maxim Siplikov who did everything in their power to interfere with him and make sure that nobody touched Matthew Schaefer. Yep. And listen, I love that from the Islanders. That's exactly how they should act. But, also granted, Schaefer didn't play against typically what is an NHL roster. A lot of the Rangers that night were AHL players and minor leaguers, but whatever. Besides the point, I thought he looked incredible. His skating is clearly ready for the NHL. Physical maturity, obviously, he's still a young kid. That's going to grow over time. But the way he thinks the game, the way he plays the game, other than strength, it's all there. The tools are there. And obviously, the 22-year-old Matthew Schaefer will be a much better version of what we just watched or what we've seen so far. But I think he's going to be an NHL regular this year. Maybe they do the whole Leo Carlson treatment where they'll sit him for a game if he plays 3 in a row just so he can have a physical break and spend some time in the press box and watch and learn.
Kind of like they did with Noah Dobson a few years ago.
Same exact thing. And that's fine. That's good. I think it's important for Matthew Schaefer to play games, but it's also just as important for him to feel comfortable as a person in the NHL, and it seems like he's already there. I mean, every video, every clip, every interview I see from this kid, he's an easy guy to root for and an easy guy to love. So I think that's awesome.
And there's this, and I don't know how much you've been in tune with this, but there seems to be this, breath of fresh air around the Islanders organization with the new general manager, Matthew Darsh, and all the fan-friendly things they've been doing. And I'm sure other people around the hockey circles have taken notice that there seems to be this new era around the Islanders this year.
Yeah, the Islanders are boring narrative is dead. I was one of the people who didn't really agree with it to begin with. I've been a big fan of Matthew Barzal since he stepped foot into the NHL. I think as far as 3-on-3 overtime hockey goes, Barzal is one of my favorite players to watch. The way he skates, the way he moves. He had that insane play, I think, last year in Dallas to Bo Horvat for an overtime winner. Barzal, to me, this is a huge year for him.
He's healthy. That's number one, most important thing.
Of course. He played 30 games last year?
Yep.
Yeah, so having him healthy, if he can become a more of a shoot-first kind of guy and get back to that 85, maybe even 90-point range, I think that's going to be big for him. But like I said, even if the Islanders don't make the playoffs this year, there are still things you can be excited about.
Oh, I totally agree 100%. Really quick on the Devils. They were the only local team that went to the playoffs last year. They have some really good-looking players. They just signed Luke Hughes to a long-term extension. What are your thoughts on the Devils for this year?
I think they'll finish second in the division. I have high hopes for them. I think, obviously, injuries killed them last year. I mean, going up against Carolina with Jack Hughes out, I think Siegenthaler was hurt. I think Pesce got hurt. There were so many guys that they were missing from that lineup. But this Devils team has a lot of flair. They're very exciting. I don't know how well-rounded their forward group is. I still think there are holes in their lineup, but their blue line and their goaltending are, pretty much just as strong as most other teams in the Eastern Conference. I think they'll be just fine. And Jack Hughes and Jesper Bratt, like I said about Matthew Barzal, Hughes and Bratt, watching those two guys play is a treat. And I think Nico Hischier deserves more respect in the NHL.
Oh, absolutely. Very, very underrated. A heck of a player. A couple minutes left with Johnny Lazares from Daily Faceoff and Bleacher Report Open Ice. You kind of touched on this with the Panthers going for their third straight Stanley Cup, but they have a huge injury with Barkov being out. I don't know if they've officially said he's out for the season, but the typical of that injury would put him maybe in line to come back just in time for the playoffs. What are you hearing about what the Panthers may do if that is indeed a season-ending injury for Barkov?
Well, I think a lot of signs point toward Evgeny Malkin. He has voice. This is his last year with the Pittsburgh Penguins. Obviously, Florida and Russian players seem to have a pretty good relationship, for lack of a better term. But Malkin's a guy that would fit in perfectly, and I think the cap hit wouldn't even be too bad.
Yeah.
So let me just double check what Florida's cap space.
There's been some chatter. I read, hearing things that maybe the Panthers might be interested in Pajot from the Islanders.
Oh, that'd be interesting as well. I mean, Pajot's been a guy I feel like the Islanders have been trying to move for like 2 or 3 years already. Also,
Yeah.
so yeah, I think the Panthers are a next man up team anyway. You'll just get more from Lundell. You'll get more from guys like Evan Rodriguez, Brad Marchand now being there for a full year. We'll see what he can do. But that Luosterainen, Lundell, Marchand line was the best line in the playoffs last year, and they were the Panthers' third line. Now with the injuries, they just bump up and they'll fill that second line spot. And then you got Mackie Samoskevich, who played a great year last year. He scored his first career goal actually on Long Island, a nice wraparound goal. He'll slide in and he'll fit in perfectly. I have no concerns or no doubts that Florida will make the playoffs. And once they get Kachuk and Barkov back, I think the three-peat run is back on.
As an Islander fan, I hope they don't do it. I want the Islanders to be the last team to win 3 and 4 in a row. So I'm just being selfish there. It is an Olympic year. The NHL players are going to be going to the Olympics, and UBS Arena was supposed to host the All-Star Game this year. Instead, it's going to be a send-off event for the Olympics for Team USA, and then also next year, UBS Arena will get an on-ice, some sort of all-star international competition. How excited are you for the Olympics? I may be in the minority, Johnny, because I love the amateurs playing in the Olympics. You'll never have another Miracle on Ice, but it's such a good quality of hockey with the NHL players in it that it seems to bring out so much excitement, even from people who are not hockey fans.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the Olympics once every 4 years, how could you not get up for it? And what we saw last year with Four Nations, like that was the best 2 weeks of my life as a fan. Like I had so much fun going to those games. Don't think I'll be able to get to Italy, unfortunately, but like that's
not in the budget.
That'd be such a privilege, obviously. But watching, Crosby, McKinnon, McDavid together go up against, some of USA's top end talent and guys like Eichel, and we didn't even get to see Quinn Hughes last year, so I'd love to see Quinn Hughes get in the mix. It's great for hockey. I think the eyeballs on Four Nations last year, everyone in the sports world was talking about it. So to have that again this year is going to be such a treat.
And I hope there's something like that. I hope that winds up being whatever they bring to UBS Arena next year. I don't mind the All-Star Game, but if you're telling me that they can bring a Four Nations type thing to UBS Arena next season, I think that would be phenomenal.
Insane. I mean, Long Island loves its hockey, and I don't think people really know that or respect that enough. But yeah, I think anytime we get the NHL's brightest stars at UBS Arena on Long Island, it's a joy. I mean, will you be there for that USA send-off? I'll
be there. I'll be there. We'll break bread. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Really quick,
awesome.
Islanders, Rangers, Devils. Do any of them make the? Well, you already said the Devils were going to finish second, but Islanders and Rangers, do they have a shot at the playoffs? And who do you like in the Stanley Cup final?
I do think the Devils and Rangers make it. I mean, I'm going to sound like a Ranger hater or Islander hater, excuse me. I don't think the Islanders get in, but I think they can surprise and flirt with the wild card. My Stanley Cup final prediction, though, is the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Dallas Stars. I think Tampa's window is not shut yet. I think they get one more. And I don't know if you can count this as a dynasty if they have 3 in what would be 6 years. To me, that should qualify as a dynasty. But
yeah, I would. It's a really good run. At the very least, it's a really, really good run. That's what I would say.
I think they got one more in them.
Johnny, thank you so much for spending some time. Great to see you the other night at the Islander Ranger game, and we'll catch up again. And please do come back on the show at some point during the season.
Thank you, Peter, and sorry again, Tony, for the Mets. I didn't mean it.
No problem. He gets over things easily. Thanks so much.
You got it.
Thanks, Johnny Lazares from Bleacher Report, Open Ice, and many other things that he does too, covering the great game of hockey. Really quick before we say goodbye, want to tell you about our next show on Tuesday, and you know how much I love the FOPs. And we've had a great run of FOPs here on the program, Friend of Peter, where I invite somebody who I know from the business, whether it's sports or music or whatever it might be. They come in and they're my co-host for the entire hour. And this is going to be a great one because obviously as an Islander fan, this is going to be great. Sharing so many great stories with former longtime Islanders equipment manager Joe McMahon. He will be my FOP co-host for the whole hour on Tuesday. He's got some great stories. He was with the Islanders during the dynasty years and left his role. There was some family things that went on, including the passing of his very, very young son, and that has steered him and his family in the direction of a foundation. We'll talk about that. I had a chance to see Joe at the Pat LaFontaine event last week, so we'll be able to have some nice conversation about Islanders history, this year's Islanders, and we'll talk about everything going on with Joe McMahon and his family. And that will do it for this edition of Sports Bash, presented by TicketBash.com and the Ryan Anthony Head Start Fund. Thanks to my guest, Johnny Lazaris. Thanks to our social media coordinator, Connor Kalb. And thanks to Tony Walker and everyone at Governors. Sports Bash is sponsored by the Embassy Diner in Bethpage, by Coaches Collectibles, and by the Marty Lyons Foundation. For our entire crew, I'm Peter Schwartz. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching the program. We're back Tuesday at 1 o'clock with our FOP, Joe McMahon. Have a great weekend, everybody, and let's go Yankees!